The San Francisco 49ers have made a couple interesting roster moves today. We're going to break those down and talk about what it means for Kendrick Bourne. Is he returning to the San Francisco 49ers or is he lost to the Washington Commanders? I don't know, but we're going to talk about it all right now. And you already know it is officially Seattle week. The San Francisco 49ers play meaningful football this week. Can you believe it? The longest off season in what feels like eternity is over. And the San Francisco 49ers play football in the North Coast of Seattle. But you guys already know what to do. Sprinkle me with some SDS in the chat. Smash that like button. Let's go. It's game week, Brad Gang. Yay. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What is going down? Sourdough Squad, man. Can you believe it? Can you believe we are here? This is a football game, like a real one. Not the preseason, not a joint practice, not a training camp, a real game. And not only a real game, a division game. Right out the gate. Shout out to home. Look at my guy. Wake up, honey. We're live. Feels like it's been forever. Shout out to the homie Jason Aponte in the building. But Jason knows, just like you all know, the San Francisco 49ers play football. They play football this weekend. Feels good, man. Feels great. Feels fantastic. And I'm really, really excited to see what the 49ers put out there on that field. Because if anything has been an indication of what we will get, what we may get, it's interesting. Now, all that being said, we understand that there's been a lot of injuries this offseason. But the San Francisco 49ers are what appears to be the healthiest they have been all off season. And boy, oh boy, is that a welcomed sight. Right now, currently, as we speak, there hasn't been any updates. We'll see. Knock on wood if you're surrounded by it. The San Francisco 49ers only have one injury right now on the roster, and that is a high ankle sprain to rookie wide receiver Jordan Watkins. So it does appear that everyone is slated, ready to roll, and I'm excited for that because one guy returned to practice this week, Jauan Jennings, had been dealing with a calf injury for the majority of the offseason, probably some other things as well, but he is back, and he does appear like he is going to play this week. Obviously, the timing is notable, but along with that, you've got Ricky Pearsall. Marquez Valdez-Scantling was signed today, was actually promoted to the active roster. So this has just been an interesting one because when the 49ers, it was first announced that they were signing MVS, to me it felt like they were going to be adding MVS to the active roster. And they said, no, we are going to put him on the practice squad. I said, okay. Whatever you say, put him on the practice squad then. And they're like, but we're going to sign Russell Gage to the active roster. I was like, oh, great. Because I had thought, based on watching training camp, Russell Gage had done enough to make the final 53. I really felt that Russell Gage developed quite the rapport with Brock Purdy. Honestly, Gage made some of the more impressive catches of training camp. I think the one that comes straight to mind was you had Brock Purdy throwing a layered pass towards the right sideline. defender in front of Gage. Brock puts it only where Russell Cage could go get it. Gage squares up, high points it. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's phenomenal. He made a bunch of plays like that. So it's I'm excited for Gage that he made the roster, but then just today we did a little flip-de-flu, swippity-swappity. Now Gage gets released, MVS goes to the active, and it does appear that Russell Gage will loop back around and sign with the 49ers practice squad, and then will have the opportunity to be called up and be promoted from the practice squad, or not promoted, called up to be able to dress for game day against Seattle. So the 49ers still doing some shuffling, but for the most part, everyone seems healthy and everyone's back. And it looks like the 49ers are ready to go. Now, the one thing that we've kind of been waiting to see is, are the 49ers going to be signing Kendrick Bourne? And it does feel like the answer is no. It feels like that ship has sailed in the short term. Doesn't necessarily mean they are not going to potentially be a suitor for KB in the future. But I think if the San Francisco 49ers were dead set on getting Kendrick Bourne in red and gold this season, they would have made sure they would have done so prior to him leaving and going and visiting the Washington Commanders. Because as we did see, Kendrick Bourne went through a workout on Monday, and then at the end of that, he was on a flight and he was out to Washington. We did hear today from Matt Mayoko that the San Francisco 49ers did, in fact, offer a formal contract to Kendrick Bourne. So a contract was presented and it wasn't accepted. So what does that mean? It could mean a couple things. It could mean that Kendrick Bourne maybe simply just wanted to see what his options were in Washington. I mean, I don't blame KB. You got a team that went to the NFC Championship game last year. You got Jaden Daniels heading to year 2. Terry McLaurin is your wide receiver 1. You know, there's a lot of talent over there in Washington that they're starting to build. So I don't fault KB if he wants to go check out and see what's going on over there. But I do think that it significantly hurts the kind of potential chances of signing Kendrick Bourne, because I think with some of the roster swapping that we're seeing today, with MVS going up to the active, with Russell Gage being released and dropping down, most likely to sign with the practice squad, it did kind of feel like maybe they made this move because they're not going to be getting Kendrick Bourne. Now, I'll say this. I think I like the idea of Kendrick Bourne more than anything else. The fan inside of me wants to get KB back on the sideline, get the vibes back, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, like, I'm okay. I'm okay one way or the other. It wasn't going to be a deal breaker for me. So, you know, if KB would have came back, it would have been great for the vibes. Would have, you know, 49er fans, we love the guys who have worn the red and gold and maybe have spread their wings to go elsewhere. And when they come back, we're always willing to welcome them with open arms, as long as they presented a value and were quality Niners. And I think KB represents that. But honestly, at the end of the day, I don't think it's a deal breaker that, you know, the 49ers are in trouble because they didn't sign KB. Shout out to KB. If he signs, great. If he doesn't, that's fine too. So I think, again, with Kendrick Bourne, it really just came down to the 49ers need some bodies. They need some guys to be able to go out there and catch passes, right? That's what the receiver does. But when you look at the 49ers healthy players, you know, Ricky Pearsall, Jauan Jennings, Sky Moore, is that your wide receiver 3? you can't say it's Russell Gage because he's not on your roster technically. So does that make MVS your wide receiver 3? Sky Moore? It's a scary time. It's a scary place to be, 49ers trying to get ready to go, trying to get their season rolling. We don't even know who their wide receiver 3 is. we're like, wait a second. The current guys on the roster have been here for like a week. But we'll see. We'll see. It's not the end of the world. Do you know why it's not the end of the world? Because the San Francisco 49ers got CMC back in the building. They got a healthy Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy looked really good this training camp. Ricky Pearsall is bound to explode. He is going again. Ricky's biggest thing is staying healthy. That's it. If Ricky's healthy, Ricky's going to get open. Ricky has the ability to create separation, to be able to find the soft spots in the zone, and he's pretty solid at making contested catches over the middle. It's one of my favorite things that he was able to do throughout training camp. The one thing where I do believe Ricky needs to continue to get better at and to get stronger at is contact at the top of his route. There were definitely a couple times throughout training camp or joint where Ricky would get into a little bit of some contact at the top of the route and he would fall to the ground. Outside of that, Ricky is going to be solid. I think that he and Purdy's connection was definitely on full display. I think it was something that you could absolutely pick out as one of the best connections on the field. Although, leads me to my next player, George Kittle and Brock Purdy. I mean, if you're looking to draft a tight end in fantasy, this might be the year to go out and get George Kittle on your team. This dude's going to feast. Him and Brock, automatic. All year, all offseason. It's a different connection. The ball just jumps out of Brock's hand faster when he knows it's going to George because he knows where George is going to be. So he throws with anticipation. The connection that those two have is pretty awesome. It's pretty fun to watch. And to me, it was something that took an even bigger stride. We've seen Brock Purdy and George Kittle in multiple camps, with the San Francisco 49ers. I had not seen a connection like this between these two with their time with the San Francisco 49ers. So I'm really excited about it. Wesley says, Brad, are you going to dance like Brock in his new commercial with his new boots? Nah, I'm not. Brock can keep those moves. I can't. I don't want it. I can't look as cool as Brock doing that. No. I can't do that. So, yeah. Evan says, wouldn't be surprised if George leads the team in catches until the wide receiver room gets squared away. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if George Kittle leads the San Francisco 49ers in all receiving categories, including touchdowns, receptions, and yards. Like, there's a strong chance that George will be the wide receiver 1. I think he is effectively the wide receiver 1. But I do think, getting Jauan back, having Ricky Pearsall as compliments to CMC for Brock Purdy, I think there's going to be enough weapons on the field that they're going to be able to spread the ball around and be able to get things rolling in the right direction. So I really think the biggest thing that I'm really going to be paying attention to is left guard. Ben Barch. What is Ben Barch going to do? Is he healthy? Is he ready to start? Because as much as I love Drew Moss, as much as I like Connor Colby, I would like to keep them on the bench as long as possible to allow them time to marinate, get up to speed. I think Ben Barch can do it. Ben Barch just has to stay healthy, and he's got to stay available. And I'm really interested to see what that interior offensive line looks like. Obviously, Dominic Pooney returned to practice this week, so that's a good sign. I've told you many times, I do believe Colton McKivitz is going to take a step forward this year. It's a contract year. I think he's put in the work. I think he's absolutely primed to have a big season. That's not to say Colton McKivitz is going to be perfect, but I do believe he will have a big year where he will ultimately leave in free agency after getting a huge, huge check. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this O-line can do. I think the 49er fan base in general is a little bit more down, and I get it, on the 49ers offensive line. Trent Williams, 37 years old. Ben Barch has been banged up all of training camp. Jake Brendel, in my opinion, took a step backwards last year. Dominic Pooney, I think, is phenomenal. But he also hit a rookie wall last year. And then fans have mixed emotions about Colton McKivitz, but I do believe he will have a good season this year. I think if these guys can stay healthy with Christian McCaffrey staying healthy, I think this offensive line is serviceable enough that they can get the job done. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say this is a top 5 offensive line group. I think if we look back, we jump in the time machine and we jump to the end of the season, and if we say that this offensive line group is hovering around the top 10, I would say that would be a very successful season. If we're looking back at this group and we're saying, oh yeah, that was a pretty good effort by that O-line group, and they're in that range, I think the 49ers offense actually has a great year. So we'll see what they ultimately end up doing. But I do think that the 49ers defense, in my opinion, is just one of the things that is a little bit more, I don't want to say concerning. I want to say just unsure. We don't know. We don't know how this defense is going to perform. I think with the return of Robert Saleh, the way that I saw Robert Saleh, not only scheming it up in training camp, but then seeing how that translated to some of the preseason games, I think there's an opportunity where Saleh can really help this young group. I think if it were a Steve Wilks, not even a Steve Wilks, maybe like a Nick Sorensen defense, or super vanilla and just line it up and just play super basic defensive schemes and just say, go win, go beat your guy. I think the 49ers defense would have a little bit more of a difficult time. But I think with the combination of Robert Saleh and some of the things that I saw in the way he was scheming it up, I do think that Robert Saleh can bring this defense back. I really do, because when you look at the 2019 defense, there are some similarities to this. Now, not apples to apples at all, but I do think that with Nick Bosa anchoring your defensive line, you have Fred Warner anchoring your linebacker room. You've got Diamador Lenore anchoring your cornerbacks, and I would say Jason Pinnock is your anchor in the safety room, which is interesting, because I would assume that if you didn't go to 49ers training camp, you might not know who is anchoring that safety room because the 49ers just recently released Richie Grant. You basically have Jair Brown and Marquise Siegel. Now, Marquise Siegel, phenomenal preseason. He's earned starting snaps and he's ran with the ones and he's performed. So there's a good chance we're going to see a lot of Marquise Siegel, but I think it's Jason Pinnock right now who's the alpha in that room. We'll see. This is going to be a big season for Jair Brown. I really do think Jair Brown has potential. I just don't feel that he is remotely reached that potential. And I think that's the hardest part about Jair is I I, I wonder where that player is that I saw playing at Penn State. Where's that guy who was flying around, ball hawk, making plays? Felt like he was it just feels like he's moving slower because I don't know, maybe he's processing too much. I just want to see Jair Brown let it flow. I just want to see him hit that flow state and be able to start making plays because if he can do that and I think build up some confidence, I think Jair Brown could be a good player. I think he's been an inconsistent player as of right now, but I do think there is potential for him to improve. I think there's a potential for him to get better. But as it stands right now, um, Siegel looks like a guy who could potentially start over him alongside Jason Pinnock. I think Jason Pinnock is going to have a big season. I've been pretty adamant about this. Almost anytime I get on the mic and I talk about the safeties, I talk about Jason Pinnock. I think Jason Pinnock is going to have a big season. So I'm excited to see. Now, we'll see how everything evolves moving forward. But I'm really happy with the 49ers starting cornerbacks. I think Diamador Lenore, Renardo Green, and Upton Stout is probably one of the best young cornerback rooms in the league. And I preface young when I say that because I think all these guys have legitimate potential. We already know what Diamador Lenore is. He got his contract. He got paid. With Renardo Green, I think he was playing really well in training camp before he got knocked out with a calf injury, if I'm not mistaken. And then Upton Stout, very similar thing. Upton was balling at 49ers training camp, and then he got banged up, and he missed some time as well. All three of those guys are built very similarly. They're all probably considered to be undersized, yet they all play much larger than their frames indicate. Neither one of those three shy away from contact. Those guys get involved in the run game. Those are all guys that I'm happy about being the starting trio of cornerbacks for the San Francisco 49ers. Shout out to Chase Lucas, one of the feel-good stories of this preseason. I haven't seen a lot from Darrell Luter that I love. I've seen a few things that I like, but with Darrell Luter, it's largely inconsistencies. And Saran Neal, to me, is a special teams kind of a guy. So we'll see what that depth holds up. And with the linebacker group, I'm really excited for Fred and D. I think Fred and D are going to go crazy. I think D Winters, I had a lot of questions of D heading into this 49ers training camp, and he erased those immediately. I think it was like the second day of pads where I was like, oh, okay, D Winters he's your starting will, like without question. For me, I was like, oh, the starting will, starting Sam, both those positions wide open. D Winters slammed that conversation shut by the second day of pads. And I would say that's one of my favorite revelations of San Francisco 49ers training camp was his emergence, was him taking that. It wasn't given to him either. It was not given to him. He took it. And that's what I liked about that situation was he took it and he did not let go. He earned that role. And I think Dean Winters really does look like in some instances, and again, not to compare because he has to be Dre Greenlaw. And I just want to make that clear. He doesn't have to be Dre Greenlaw, but we know there's a very specific style in which Dre Greenlaw plays. Very fierce, very aggressive, very fast, very physical. All of those elements D. Winters has adopted into his game. And there are moments. I don't know why my mic keeps getting knocked off, but I'm like, there's moments where that looks like Dre Greenlaw. And I think that should excite 49er fans. And we'll see what happens on the other side of that. You got Luke Gifford, Tatum Bethune, and Nick Martin. I thought Tatum Bethune definitely earned his role on this roster as well throughout training camp. So no issues there. He was the guy who flashed in the run game quite a bit. And when you get to the 49ers defensive line, it's just health so far. Mykel Williams has got to stay healthy. Kalia Davis has to stay healthy. Jordan Elliott has to stay healthy. CJ West has got to stay healthy. Yetur Gross-Matos has got to stay healthy. Sam Okwuonu has to stay healthy. Every guy that I just named missed training camp with some kind of injury. And I don't count Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa kind of goes through his vet situation. But all those guys that I mentioned all suffered with something. All got knocked out of camp. And that's my biggest concern with this group. And I think it's my biggest concern with the entire 49ers team. And I think I share that same concern with a lot of fans, with a lot of media pundits. We all look at this roster and we see the potential of it. We see the anchors of legitimate superstar talent at nearly every position group. But what we also see is the depth and how thin it is and how young it is and how injury struck it has already been. So really, that's all it comes down to, man, is can this team stay healthy? Can they have available bodies? And I know that's a hard question to ask for this team. Just for whatever reason, they are a team that is often injured, and that is where they're going to be tested this year, is their depth. I'm less concerned about Brock, CMC, Juszczyk, Pearsall, Jennings, Kittle, Trent Williams, Pooney, McKivitz, Bosa, Warner, Lenore, Green, Pinnock. Not very concerned about those guys. I believe in all of them. I believe that they will all do exactly what they're supposed to do. But we just got to stay healthy, man. We just gotta keep everyone ready to roll, man. That's it. And if we can, guys like Bryce Huff will be big time contributors. I think the combination of Bryce Huff and Sam O they're probably going to go for 10 plus sacks combined. Those two, they're very similar in how they rush the passer. They're very similar in their moves and in their body makeup. I think Huff and Sam O, those guys are gonna be dogs when it comes to rushing the passer. I really think, just like J49 says, stop the run, have some fun with the NASCAR package. The NASCAR package is going to feed families, man. Kicking Mykel Williams down onto the interior, even potentially having Yetur Gross-Matos rushing from the interior and then you've got a combination of Bryce Huff and Sam O on the opposite side of Nick Bosa, I think that's going to be fire. I really do. I think that is going to be a lot of fun because those guys, hey, Bryce Huff didn't get a lot of coverage out of training camp. Neither did Sam O. Sam O ended up getting hurt as he was heating up. But those two guys quietly they probably had the most underrated camps out of anyone. Just quietly cruising under the radar, showing up every day, making plays, making sacks, but it just never like rose. Like, we can get hyped about players. We can get hyped about Upton Stout and Michael Williams, and Drew Moss and all these. We get hyped about some guys. For whatever reason, Bryce Huff and Sam O just cruised under the radar. So, but I think that's not a bad thing for the 49ers. Have some under the radar guys just pop up out of nowhere and wreak havoc. Again, I think Sam O, Bryce Huff, jot it down. They're going to have some big seasons. They're going to have some big years. I really do believe that. So we got an opportunity in front of us. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's all, sunshine and lollipops and where it's a foregone conclusion. We're going back to the playoffs, but you're saying there's a chance. That's all this team needs. That's all this roster needs is a chance, is an opportunity, is a bit of belief. And I do think you can have both. You can be real with what the 49ers state of the current roster is, and you can be optimistic at the same time. Two things can be true at once. We all get where the 49ers are and what they've dealt with this offseason. We can all rationalize it hasn't been the smoothest of sailings, but it also hasn't been the worst of sailings either. There's a couple players who started out the season on IR. Jacob Cowing, unfortunately, started the season on IR. A couple guys banged up. But overall, it's not bad. Could have been a hell of a lot worse. So the way that I'm looking at this is I think there's plenty to be excited about. I think there's plenty of people to prove wrong. And I think that is the beauty of this season. Shout out to Donald. Appreciate you, man. Engaging in the chat. But, Donald, very down on this 49ers team. I believe he said he was a diehard since 1984. I don't think I've seen Donald say one positive thing about the San Francisco 49ers. He's calling them the P word. He's calling them all these different types of things. Donald represents a portion of people that the San Francisco 49ers are looking at and say, we're going to prove you wrong, pal. Keep talking. Keep yapping. That's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to your realism as much as you want. But when you look at over the overarching theme of this team, as for me personally, I can only speak for myself and my perspective as someone who's been covering this team since 2017 independently, is I kind of see that the in-between, the things that kind of energize this team. And one of the things that do energize this team is when there's a lot of this, a lot of yapping, something about this team gets going. The Fred Warners, the George Kittles, the Trent Williams, the CMCs, the Diamador Lenores. When you start getting, their Super Bowl windows slammed shut. Oh, Brock Purdy, not a top 100 player. Oh, Brock Purdy overpaid. They're washed. They're cooked. I'm like, yes. Thank you. It feels good to be back in this rarefied air. Honestly, the 49ers have been front runners for so long that it's bringing me back to 2019. It's bringing me back to the Pretenders years. It's bringing me back to Ryan Clark. Ah, yeah. These 49ers, bunch of pretenders. That was a rallying cry. The 49ers adopted that name. They adopted that moniker and they went 13-3. And again, someone said Adam Rank. Yeah, when Adam Rank said the 49ers are going to win 3 games, go 13-3, that is the perfect place for the 49ers to be. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it is. I like it this way, to be honest with you. That when this team feels counted out, they take it personally. And I do appreciate that. And I think true competitors do. I think that's one of the things in kind of evaluating, every different type of competitor that has come into the NFL. And like when you're going through scouting profiles and you're trying to like get into the mind of a player, what makes them tick. The guys who are crazy competitive, the guys who take things seriously, the guys who hold grudges, the guys who remember the stupid comments that are made about them, for whatever reason, they are able to internalize those things and they're able to use it as motivation on top of their already ingrained motivation to be great, their ingrained motivation to be the best and to do it at the highest level. But then it's like this like sprinkle on top. Like, oh yeah, you're by the way, you're washed. And they're like, we're washed. Oh, we're what? We're some meows. Okay. All right. Bet. And I really do think that is how this team will function. So the biggest thing, really, what it comes down to is health. They just have to stay healthy. If they can stay healthy and they can stay right and they can stay available, they have a shot 100%. They absolutely have a shot to get to the playoffs. And it starts this week. So we got a big game against Seattle. I'm hyped. Yeah, we'll do film breakdowns after the game. We'll do all that good stuff. We'll do all that good stuff. So, looking forward to it, man. Seattle Seahawks, Sam Darnold. Oh boy. So what I want to see the matchup and I'll eventually do a matchup breakdown towards the end of the week. The matchup that I'm most looking forward to, Sam Darnold versus Robert Saleh. That I think is the matchup. That is where I think the San Francisco 49ers could definitely take hold of this game. Shout out to Moody. He said the coolest thing that happened to me this summer was meeting Brad. Shout out Michael, man. That was cool. I'm not going to lie. I was super excited when you're like, hey, I'm Michael Moody from your chat. I was like, what? That's crazy. I've met Joy before. I met a couple people in this chat. It's always cool to put a face to the profile picture. is pretty funny. But I do think, again, back to the original topic, I do think it's Sam Darnold versus Robert Saleh. If Robert Saleh puts Sam Darnold in the blender, I think he could throw a couple picks. I think we really could, make it sour for the Seattle Seahawks debut of Sam Darnold. Now, the flip side of that is the first time we did face Sam Darnold. I think that was week 2 with the Vikings. Sam Darnold did beat the 49ers. That was one of the most such a bad loss. So gross. Oh, that was such a gross loss. I think of the 49ers offense not having a single answer for that defense. Oh, we need our get back. I didn't forget about that, Sam. I didn't forget about that. Henry said, let's not talk about last season. I can't help it. Dude, if you're a 49ers fan, you're just dripping with PTSD. It's just like you're like, oh yeah, we went to the mountaintop. And then what happened? Anyways, I'm trying not to go down that road. But we gotta beat Sam. We gotta beat Sam in Seattle, home opener. Come on, man. Please, Robert Saleh, save us, man. I need it. I need Saleh. Honestly, I think Saleh could be the key that unlocks a lot of success this season. And that's not a shot at Kyle Shanahan either. I do think Kyle Shanahan just really struggled not having a competent defensive coordinator that fit what he was looking for. I think that Steve Wilks, he tried, that didn't work to his liking. Then I think with Nick Sorensen just was completely over his skis. And then at a certain point, Kyle Shanahan had to basically become the defensive coordinator. And it just all was too much. And so I think with the return of Robert Saleh, I think Saleh gets back to cooking in the lab, allowing Kyle Shanahan to go put the mad scientist cap back on and develop some new things and just really revamp. I think we heard a lot of that this offseason, whether it's from your Greg Cosell's, your Brian Baldingers, from me, from other people. You heard a lot about the 49ers need to revamp the offense. It's not change it completely. It's not get away from what's been successful. Spice it up a little bit. Like let's a little bit of misdirection, a little bit of more play action. I get it. Play action. You got to be able to have a legitimate threat of the run game. Like I get it. It's not as easy. It's easier said than done. But I think that's where I really want to see from Kyle this year. I need Kyle to cook again. I need Kyle to be Kyle again. I feel like last year Kyle looked. What do they call those people in Harry Potter? You got your wizards. What do they call the average folk? Muggles. Kyle has been like a wizard for the majority of his time in the NFL. It was like last year, I was like, he's a muggle. He looks normal. He looks average. I was like, that if it was weird. It's like, dang. Not used to that. I think he gets back to his Wingardium Leviosa gets back to putting defensive coordinators casting spin. I'm sorry, I haven't. It's been a while. Leave me be with my Harry Potter references. But he's back. He's on that. He's on that Voldemort. I don't even know. I'm surprised. I'm honestly surprising myself with my Harry Potter knowledge. I'm actually surprising myself. But anyways, I digress. We're going to cook, baby. We're going to be good. He said you lost me a Harry Potter. Yeah, there we go. Just call me Hagrid, baby. Anyways, good to be back. Good to be on live. Good to be getting ready for a game. Good to be getting ready for getting ready for the 49ers, man. Missed all you guys. Appreciate all you, man. It's been a wild off season. Excited to kind of turn the page, get the regular season rolling, seeing what we cook up, man. Keep the positivity in your heart, Donald. Oh, look, there you go. I think that's the first positive thing I've seen from Donald on this 47-minute stream. I love it. Congratulations. You love to see it. What's he said? You left us for too long. Hey, we back, baby. We are back, but I appreciate y'all. I'm excited. We'll get into it. I think this might end up turning out to be kind of my new live window, kind of 5 or 6. We'll see. I still got to iron it out, but we'll be getting back to doing lives much more regular, all that good stuff, because the NFL season's here. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. So shout out Donald. Appreciate it, everyone. Thanks for tapping in. Smash that like button on the way out. Share this post if you're watching on Facebook or on X, all that good stuff. Appreciate y'all. I'm out of here for now. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see you.